All right. So here we are. First time recording with Riverside for me. Not the first time talking to you. So thanks for taking your time.
All
So
good.
for everybody, we are here right now, as announced on the social media. Me, myself, Marcel from Dash Zero, and Scott, my pal, working now at a different company than we worked together before. Scott, may a short intro from your side?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Scott Howland, enterprise sales executive. About 10 years experience now, I think, working in the enterprise space, different companies, from startups to where I am now, Google. So yeah, it's been a pretty fun journey. We'll go into that as we go. Just caveat: this is my experience overall 10 years. We're going to talk about today, not specific companies or anything like that. So yeah, just full caveat there.
Yeah, cool. So great. I mean, you are like having more experience like in a big corporate. This is great. So you saw both sides. I was just like very for much for a year, somewhere at IBM. But yeah. So today we want to talk about we had a tagline that we created. I really much liked it, and which is like, but you're just a salesperson. And this is something that you experienced a while ago with a client of yours. And I thought it's a very interesting topic to talk about, especially with you, because I know that we kind of have the same mindset. And I also think that the world has very much changed. So, just from my background, I'm a techie. I was born and raised as a techie and moved into the sales role. How was it with you?
Yeah, so I have always been quite technical, using different building websites, building different things, let's say. Um, I actually moved into sales more because I saw it as a good career, right? I saw it as a way that I could kind of put my technical expertise to use, but also I didn't know of this world. I had no idea this world was out there, so I kind of fell into it a little bit through a graduate scheme. But I was pretty good at it, I think. So yeah, fell into it and got talking. And as Marcel, don't stop talking. So yeah, that was it, really, right? I get to talk to lots of people all the time, and yeah, what's better than spending your days talking to people?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's something you need to have in your DNA, I would say, right? But again, I think having coming from a technical point is a value, but also if you're even not have this career path, then I think it's something that you still can learn. But let's dive a bit deeper into it to make it a bit more tasty to see what we're talking about. So let's take two words like understanding the problems, understanding the challenges, and value, right? I mean, we talk. I mean, I watched a lot of videos. I talked to a lot of people. Sometimes I read books, rarely, but sometimes. And it's, I mean, it's all about like, yeah, you need to sell the value, blah blah blah. It sounds so easy, right? I mean, let's talk about this a bit. Normally, it is something very logical. I do not think that this is something that a salesperson would not do. You want to somehow think that you are selling value, but are you really? Like, I mean, what is new to that when we think about understanding the things, creating the value? Is it just like taking what your USPs of the product are and spamming the customer with it and convincing him somehow that this is the holy grail? So how do you approach this? So how
Ooh,
what was your opinion on that?
oh, I've got lots of opinions of that. Take it back, right? Strip it down. Why is said person talking to you? Is it because you've pushed a load of features into their face and they've gone, "Hey, I want a meeting"? Probably not, right? People are busy, being busy, lots going on. Um, what is their problem? They've probably got some kind of pain point, problem, challenge going on. And I think where it's got to in the world right now, is that that's our role, to find out what those pains are, those problems are, and dig on those to understand, and not just pitch features.
Mm.
I would say not don't pitch features at all, right? I'd say remove that. Solve problems with features and solutions, fine, but you need to be able to solve those problems. There's three main reasons why people buy products, right? Improve efficiency, productivity across that, right? So can they improve their day-to-day job? Can they save time? Can they make their team's life easier? Can they save money on team members, right? Things like that moves quite nicely onto save money, right? Is there a way that they can save money? Is that saving money on a product that they've got now? Is it saving money across the whole business, right? As that kind of total cost of ownership, right? What does that mean to them in that kind of case? And there's probably a third reason, their increased revenue. All of that is linked to a pain in some way, right? If the sales aren't high enough, if they're not bringing in enough revenue, then they need to increase revenue. If they need to save money, maybe they've got budgeting issues around different tools. Maybe someone's raised their prices, things like that. We see that in SaaS and sales all the time, right? Competitors and customers, everyone's raising their prices at all times, right? It might be inflation, might be just want to drive more revenue. That's what happens, right? So actually, how can they save that? How can they be more efficient around that spend? Things like that. How can they improve efficiency? Most people are spending a lot of people on people, right? Resource internally might be tight because they can't do the projects they want to do because their people are tied up doing the boring jobs, right? We sold observability products before. They couldn't understand what was going wrong within their applications. They couldn't view all the traces, things like that, right? Okay, great. How can they make that quicker, right? Without implementing all of the different technologies and going through that manual process? Is there ways to automate that? Is there ways? There's lots of different ways that you can look at that, right? And I think to do that, we need to understand not just the value of the product, but actually the value of what the product brings to those personas. So we can kind of trigger that, create stories, compelling kind of conversations with those customers around those pain points, those problems, to see if they resonate with those customers and prospects. Because then once you start understanding that and you can start listening actively, you can ask good questions, you can kind of look at those needs and challenges that those customers are having, you can start solving problems. The minute you flip it from feature pushing to solving problems, focusing on the value, you are then going to be able to start understanding more about how you're going to navigate that to push your product for a sale or kind of along that journey.
Yeah, I get your point. So one topic is, I mean, the angle of cost is always a topic. Even if, I mean, in the very end, from my perspective, a developer who wants to bring in a new service, he is very much solving a problem that he's facing. But in the very end, it's all companies are driven based on optimizing their costs and increasing their I get this fully, and it was good that you said this at the end, because this was more about like the person, right? I mean, we have a more and more bottom up approach. So the times, in my opinion, where top down somebody says like, oh yeah, we want to bring in this tool and you must do it, and then the next layer push it to the next layer, I think this is over, right? I mean, the people decide, the users decide. That's so when you want to engage with a person and support him and want to convince him that the solution that you're offering brings the most value to him, so sell it to him. Let's say it like we're selling software. That's what we as sales do, right? You must understand really, really much what he really needs. And then we come to a point that I find very interesting when we talk about like relationship building. I mean, it's nothing artificial, I would say. I do this for me. This is very naturally, organically. Yeah. I just love to talk to people and engage with them, and having at its best on the same level conversations. This sometimes works better or not. It's depending. Sometimes I need to educate myself. And I think whatever solution you have, if you are talking to a person and you kind of not sold yourself, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but the person on the other side must understand that you really have an understanding of what you're talking about. And it does not help that you just bring in, oh, I have feature ABC and it solves like, and then you spam your silver bullets out. You must understand it. And I mean, people need to get into this mood. I always say, like, before you sell whatever solution, it can bring whatever value, right? I mean, for sure, it's a hot fire issue. Maybe you sell something without relationships, but not in the natural way. So how do you think about relationship and its like priority when it comes to like talking between technical people and sales?
Oh, priority number one, right? Relationship is key in all of this. area, you're not selling anything without a relationship. And that's probably the key thing there. And there's lots of different ways that you can leverage that, you can work on that, and you can kind of drive that along. Probably goes back to the title that we talked about, but you're still a salesperson, right? People were seen as order takers. People were seen as just the person that they had to go and negotiate and they had to fight procurement with to go and do that. People were seen from their sales tactics years ago, right? When you're, I don't know, selling different things, and it's kind of a dirty job in that sense, right? Because you're a salesperson. Well, it's not the way anymore, right? It's I really see that building these relationships and trust, becoming a trusted advisor to these organizations, knowing your shit stuff, knowing your stuff, being able to communicate concisely about what you're trying to explain and what you're trying to kind of push along, what you're trying to kind of help them solve. Again, going back to the value, right? The problems, the value, what you're bringing to that organization. You're not just that order taker anymore, right? So probably the key thing there is be transparent, be honest. Follow up. Do you know what the key thing is? Be responsive. I get told, and I've been told more recently, I was talking to an exec that I was working with, and I said, basically, just tell me what's good about working with us. I'm trying to replicate this across my book of business, right? And he went, do you know what? The craziest thing, he goes, if I have a problem or I've got a concern about something, I'll ping you. You reply. He goes, you'll reply so quickly and just get back to me saying either here's the answer, or I don't know that one, or actually I need someone else to answer that. Here you go. I'll loop you in with them and they'll take that away. You get just that, knowing that I'll get a response when I email you or message you is key, right? And just I take that for granted, right? I'm quite happy if someone pings me, I'll always ping them back, and I'm very responsive in what I do. I've always been like that. It's just me as a person. But actually, that's helped me.
It's also no magic, right?
It's not magic at all. It's just doing what you say you do, right? Another thing, right, is doing what you say you do. If you tell someone you're going to reply to them by that afternoon at 5 p.m., reply to them that afternoon by 5 p.m.
I like to say a bit like this also this is a good point, right? Sales is not a 9-to-5 job, right? Normally it's like you need to act when the other person has an issue or needs you. And I say always, like, it's a bit like to be the lawyer for your client inside my company. And also this is not negative, but I must fight for what he needs. If he needs support, if it's a feature thing, for sure, I don't need to say like, hey, build this for them. But we need to figure it out. We need a PM session, whatever is needed. And look, when he's reaching out to you or the person is reaching out to you, then you need to act. And I fully understand the power of responsiveness, in my opinion, because at this moment he is thinking of you, and he's approaching you to get a help. If you do not act like or take this not really serious and say like, I have 10 things others to do, then
you're the person in the middle, though. You just said you act on behalf of customer. You are also acting on behalf of your company as well, right? You're that advocate in the middle both ways. So you're trying to manage both ways in that conversation, right?
So look, we talked about like understanding a problem, really, and again we can recap this, but really listen, ask questions. You must understand it. That's a problem. When they tell you something, challenge it, right? If you don't understand it, ask. That's very important, because this gives also a feeling that you really try to dive into that problem, and based on this, you can create the value that you need to create the relationship and the confidence. I think it's all playing together, right?
I have a simple way of looking at this. Probably both these two, understanding value and building relationships. And it's the simplest way I look at this, right? Number one, understanding the value. You just said it. Ask questions. Why? And it's 3 ways of asking why is kind of key in all of this. I take it as I've got a 5-year-old now, right? So I take it as her kind of asking me why all the time, right? And why? And then you answer, and then she's like, why? And I'm like,
right. They're the perfect.
so then I
It'd
try
be
and
perfect.
change it and tell her again why. And then she's like, why? Okay, right. So, but I'm asking why in 3 different ways. So I understand and getting down to the root cause of what is that problem and what is that a pain for that organization. Understand the value. Build relationships and trust. I always, I watch The Office, US Office quite a lot. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's, there's a character in it, Michael Scott. He runs the paper company. These things haven't changed years and years and years, right? He's the best salesman, or was the best salesman in this paper company, etc. He's now manager, and he's trying to teach his team how to do it, right? And anyway, the one day he rolls out this Rolodex. It's a Rolodex. It's all his cards of all of his customers, right? And he's wrote on there little things. Person A, right, works at X company, has got a 3-year-old, likes chocolate and this, and it's all written down on his thing there. Remember the little things about these customers. Remember the little things about the calls you're having. Remember the conversations the conversations that might not be about business, but about other things as well. Remember those. Bring them up. Remember that Marcel supports Schalke, right? And remember that they're not very good at football. And remember that he's. You know what I mean? He's also a Liverpool fan, right? They're having a pretty good season. So remember to have those conversations. Remember to bring that up again. Don't make it too focused on that, though. Try and do it in a nice way.
That would be natural again. Just be as if you treat a normal person, right? And we come to a third point that I would like to tackle before we are heading to the end of this session already. It's like, I mean, we can talk ages. Yeah. I must be the gatekeeper now. Hard for me too. But it's like, we talked about a couple of things, but now the question is like, if you think you're not there yet, or if you want to have a takeaway, I mean, I also sometimes the sales, especially the sales thing, I do this. I give one advice is question this. Really recap and think, are you really doing this? Yeah. Go through your top 10 clients that you are actually talking to. You want to get as new customers for your service, and ask yourself, what do you really know about them? Yeah. Ask yourself, did you really understood the problem? Challenge this maybe with your technical sales colleague. Whatever is needed, do this, and you will be surprised probably. I mean, I also do this every time because I'm not a perfect, and sometimes I miss things, but ask this. So the topic is, how can we improve personally? Because I mean, we must improve, right? So shed a bit of a light from your perspective on that.
Oh, everyone needs to ask for advice and support and feedback on anything at all times, and listen and be a person that can be coached, be a person that can learn. You don't have to agree with everything that someone tells you. You don't have to. You might know that you're right on certain occasions, right? And you have to do that, but always think and understand from the other person's perspective. Understand why they're telling you that. Understand, is it from their experience, right? I always go back to our old CRO, right, Frank Swain, and I always remember him sitting down, and he was a big pipeline, right? And there was every week it was the same, right? And it doesn't matter how much you closed, or how many deals you got, or how many transactions you've done, right? Okay, what's next? And I think that's one of the key things there, right? How do you improve? You listen, right? And I remember that, and I always listened, and I'm quite a I feel that I'm pretty good at getting pipeline and driving that along, right? So every week I continue to try and get meetings and all of this with different customers and prospects and things like that. And that it just stuck in my head, pipeline. That comes from networking. It comes from building relationships. It comes from asking and keeping your customers happy. It comes from replying to that. It comes from knowing the value of your customers. It all loops back round. The more you do all of these things on a daily basis and become, for example, I've read a lot of books about becoming 1% better every day and how that kind of compounds up to being really a big difference by the end of the year, right? It all kind of feeds into this kind of situation, and it all enables you to learn and take feedback on board. If someone can teach me every day to be 1% better, that compounding kind of fit at the end is incredible. It's about learning. It's about finding the right people, mentors, people to talk to, people to ask questions with. But don't be annoying. I think
Yeah, it's
that's the
like
key.
again, it's like resume is a bit my article that I wrote, where I wrote only two words in bold print, which were listen and execute.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very end, you do not need to be like reinventing the wheel. Just listen what works for people, and then when you listen and try to execute as I wrote it, right, your own skill set, your own mindset, your stuff will naturally increases or polish this way.
Yeah.
But and if you do listen, I think you will improve. But also be what I want to say. We said we need to build a trustship relationship. You also need to be just honest and transparent to yourself. I think that's the biggest problem as well, because some people just lie to themselves. It's so hard to write down bad things. Go ahead and see like, oh, pipeline looks this week. What did I really do? And even if you report it different, not that we would do this, right? But take your own Excel or paper and do it on paper and burn it afterwards and write down what you really achieved this week. What did you learn really? What did you create? How many talks did you really have? And you will be also there surprised. Oh, I have maybe, I need to buckle up a bit, get some sleep, get some rest, get a walk. And this doesn't look good. So you need to improve. So transparency is important towards like a situation when you talk about a selling process, when you talk to people, but also to yourself. I think this is also important. So before we finish, there's a last topic that I would like to tackle a bit. I like to call it like golden nuggets, right? I mean, you're 10 years in the field. I have my own way of thinking this. Many people ask me, and that's why I started this now, is how you do sales and what is like the magic of it. Could we copy it or whatever? I mean, there are bits and bytes that you can copy, right? There are bits and bytes that you maybe can try to reiterate on, but it's very important. I think what I always did in my career, and I think you prove this even in big corporates, which I love, you need to love what you do. And it sounds so pathetic, right? I know but I could not try to talk to people and try to sell them whatever if I do not either believe in the service, and I doesn't need to believe that this is a holy grail, right? But I must believe that this is really solving an issue, and I must believe in the company I'm working for. I need to have it in my DNA. I need to wear the t-shirts.
Yep.
I sleep in the bed linen, whatever, right? So don't get me wrong with that, but I think it's so important and it makes a huge difference. Do you just work there to get your payroll done? Fair point. But then you will face challenges that you will not overcome. That's my honest opinion. It's not possible, especially not in the startup world where I can speak for, where I'm now working for like 12, 13 years always. You must have this. Maybe it's a bit different in the corporate, but I think when we have a lot of talks beside that, when you shed a bit of a light, what you can share about your actual project, the deals you're working on, it still sounds more or less the same for me, because you still created your own ecosystem inside of a big corporate, which also proves that you are still, I would say, like, I do not share, but you're doing good. And you do good because you do the same thing as you did before at a small startup, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, golden nuggets are always good. I think you can take them. It's like any of these things, right? If you take them and implement them, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But know your product, become a master in that product, right? Become that expert in your field, understand the problems, the pains, how you solve them, all of that kind of stuff. Understand your customer, know those challenges, right? It all loops back to knowing your product, right? What are the challenges your customer are having? How are you going to solve those? And how are you going to deliver those for that customer? Doing what you say you're going to do. And the last thing there is that probably always relate these back to three kind of key pillars if you can. One, at a minimum, is always going to be able to drive a deal along. You're not going to get a deal most of the time without one of these business outcomes, right? Improving efficiency, productivity, saving money, and increasing revenue. And I think, like, from my point of view, this is really the key area that you should focus on, and be persistent. Just don't be annoying within sales, right? Try and make sure you don't ruin those relationships, build up those relationships, build up that network, and be that trusted advisor for your customers, for the way that you deliver. And keep going, because we all have fun, right? And you've got to work hard, work long, but play hard too.
Yeah, I like that. It's almost the most famous final words. So just circling back, we started that because we called it "But You're Just a Salesperson." Before we finish, I would love to hear a bit more about this story as a wrap up. But again, some might think what we said was just like, oh, salespeople talking about how they do the sales, blah. Where's the tech part of it? That's it. Because at the very end, you are talking. As we said, bottom up, you talk to developers. I love to do this, right? I always start this way. And all of what we mentioned is summing up into that. It's not different. It's not different. So you need to stop thinking like maybe in the silos. It's just a different type of persona. And also realize, be transparent and honest to yourself. When you cannot help them, bring people in. Tell them, oh, I can't help them, right? Many times, I see people when they got a question, the client is asking something, and say like, yeah, we can do that, blah blah blah, making things up, and they really fast understand that you have no clue. Just tell this. Just tell like, I have no clue. I will figure it out for you, but it's probably working. Just be very natural on that side. So it is like nothing different. So you had this situation. So how was it? How did you get this sentence, and how did you turn it around?
Yeah, so I was working with a customer and said, but you're just a salesperson. And I always remember because it was in a room full of all of the colleagues of the customer. And do you know what? Like, I just had to prove, hey, actually, okay, fine, I'm a salesperson. But actually, I know this. I understand this about your environment. I understand that you're doing this. And it was just proving those kind of things that actually, okay, I'm not a dev. Fine. I'm not a techie in that sense.
Yeah.
But I know how to support you, and I know what you need right now, and I know how I can support you. I'm not just trying to do the corporate pitch off the sales deck. I'm not just trying to give you the general kind of features, functionality kind of push here. I'm doing this other stuff. And yeah, really nice, and really good guy as well. And I know I called him out on LinkedIn yesterday for it. I don't know if he's read it yet or not, but it was not in a bad way that it was said. It was just probably experience of coming from working with other salespeople. And I feel, as you said at the start, right, there's this new journey with sales. There's this new helping people approach. And that's where we're getting to. That's the way I'm going to take it. I'm going to continue to go that way and kind of move through that process. And do you know what? Every day I'm learning something new. Every day I'm learning how to approach, how to deliver, how to sell, how to navigate, how to work through different processes. And yeah, long may it continue, because I'm having fun while I'm doing it as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. Again, I hope that some folks take some things away and share their perspective on it. I always love to talk about it, especially with you. So long time ago. I hope we do this more frequent in the future. There are so many other interesting topics that I think that could be talked about. On Monday, I will share another written stuff on that, or maybe I will talk a bit about, I don't know. And naturally, just like how I'm in the mood, right? So in the end, have a great day. Have a great week. Thanks for your time, and talk to you soon, man.
Cheers.